Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the game that we have been talking about non-stop for almost a year. Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. From speculations, to leaks, to gameplay. And now, sit down, get cozy, because here is my review. Let's talk about it.
Whoa!
What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and back with a video that I have been dying to do. This is my review of Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Yes, Activision had given me an early review copy so that I can talk to you guys about the game. So thank you so much to Activision. This review will also be spoiler free. I will not be showing gameplay of anything that spoils the story in any way, and I will not tell you any of the secret mechanics or characters. Now, in terms of story, I will only talk about what happens right in the beginning so that you can get an idea of why Crash and Coco have to save the multiverse. Anyway, let's dive in. Crash Bandicoot 4 is the return of the legendary marsupial to his platforming roots in a brand new game. Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy had come out a few years earlier, being the first official return of Crash, but in Crash Bandicoot 4, we experience a brand new adventure for the first time in 12 years. Toys for Bob, the studio responsible for bringing back Spyro, were the lead developers on this new tale. The story takes place after Crash Bandicoot Warped. Years have passed since Crash sent Cortex, Uka Uka, and Entropy to a desolate planet in the cosmos. But now, they have returned to not only exact their revenge on Crash and the gang, but to also take over all the dimensions and timelines that are in this multiverse. Crash wakes up to Aku Aku panicking about something being wrong in the universe, saying that he senses a great power coming from Insanity Peak. Crash ventures forward with a brand new pep in his step to go and investigate. Upon arrival, he discovers the very first quantum mask, Lani Lolly. After a quick escape and meeting back up with Aku Aku and Crash's sister, Coco, they discover a quantum rift has opened, which is what the quantum masks are supposed to keep shut. In order to close it, and every other rift that's popping up in the universe, Crash and Coco have to collect all the other quantum masks to close the rifts, for good. So, Crash and Coco begin their brand new adventure together. But quantum masks aren't the only thing that the Bandicoots will be encountering, but other characters as well. Dingodile makes a triumphant playable return, along with Tawna, who is from a different dimension and had become the hero in her timeline. I'll get to their gameplay later. The game brings a slew of personalities that just makes you laugh openly and hysterically. Cutscene after cutscene, you wonder what else they could throw in the game, and they always manage to find something or someone else. Crash 4's story absolutely dominates over every other Crash game to have ever come out. It's simple, playful, yet has its deep and even profound moments. The fact that there is even a decent story to begin with in a Crash Bandicoot game is quite incredible. The script is witty, slapstick, and at times, perfectly corny. I will say though, there is one aspect about the story that kind of makes me a little sad. I wish we could see a lot more of the quantum masks other than Lani Lolly. Lani Lolly is kind of seen as the new Aku Aku in terms of story, guiding Crash and the player from world to world. But very little is shown of the other masks, especially Ika Ika. But I digress. That is my only complaint in terms of writing and story. Crash Bandicoot's history, however, was never really given much in terms of story other than get from point A to point B and finish at point C. But the gameplay in between is what defined the series and what made it popular to begin with. The first thing that you're going to notice is that the game doesn't quite play like the N. Sane Trilogy or any of the originals or any previous iteration. The game has created its own feeling and its own flow that gives it its own identity compared to the rest of the games in the series. Now, this is not a bad thing. On the contrary, it's a very good thing. Toys for Bob has created this rhythmic control scheme that works like a piece of music. flowing and weaving moves together in a precise order and method that feels satisfying to pull off. The game feels familiar to the franchise, but stands out on its own accord in terms of controls. Now, the lovely moveset doesn't end on Crash and Coco, but spans to the other characters as well. Cortex performs well with his puzzle-like platforming, thinking on the fly as you transform minion after minion into different platforming options, allowing you to explore the level in a way that you've never been able to do before. But not only Cortex, but a previous villain now can be played, Dingodile. Dingodile's gameplay is heavy and satisfying. He uses his new vacuum gun as his weapon of choice, which allows him to have a unique moveset, like destroying boxes from a distance or pulling an enemy projectile and firing it back at them. He also has a hover and delayed double jump. While not being light and snappy like Crash and Coco, Dingodile still makes his way around the level with relative ease. But the creme de la creme, the supreme of the optional characters, goes to Tawna. Tawna plays so good. Everything about her abilities just works. From her hook shot, her kicks, her superhero pose, ground smash, everything about her works great and perfectly together. Granted, even though it is similar to Crash and Coco, there seems to be this acrobatic feel to her that just makes me want to play her levels over and over again. I would even love a spin-off game or DLC that just deals with Tawna and her tragic past, because I absolutely love her amazing gameplay design. The level design is also extremely unique. I would say that these levels are the best that we have ever seen in the Crash Bandicoot franchise. Tight platforming, branching and open pathways, new ideas mixed with old while still sticking to a formula that feels like a modern take on an old design that's been tried and tested. The levels have a much better difficulty ramp than previous Crash Bandicoot games. The hub world aspect has been thrown away and we have returned to what Crash 1 has done, each stage being a little trickier than the last, while also introducing new mechanics gradually at a proper pace. Now, some might be wondering, is the game hard? Well... in short, yes, the game is still very hard. Though Crash can jump higher and his controls are sharper and snappier than any of the previous iterations, the game will still test you at every single point possible. Now, does this mean that the game is so hard that only die-hard fans will play? Well, no. If you're just wanting to complete the game and don't care about being a completionist, or if this is your first time playing, then the game will be an overall fine experience for you. But if you're going for the 100% score, then get ready to die a lot. There are 12 gems in each level, 6 in a normal run through and 6 in the game's souped up mirror mode called inverted mode. Those gems go towards your 100% completion while also going towards skins. Every level allows you to unlock a specific skin for Crash and Coco, but as levels get harder, the amount of gems that are required from that specific level to unlock the skin increases, allowing you to deck out your Bandicoot in any style you wish. In terms of complaints, I have almost none in terms of gameplay. I can't really think of any mechanic that was really annoying. Everything about the core gameplay, in my opinion, is rock solid. It feels like Toys for Bob made sure that this was the best aspect of the game. And last, but certainly not least, we have the graphics. The visuals of these levels and characters are absolutely off the charts. Every character looks great. Their personalities shine through in their models, voices, and animations. Everything just works so well in harmony together. Then you have the actual design and aesthetic of the levels. Again, just like the characters, every level is unique. The game has shining vistas that would blow your mind, but not only are they unique and amazing, but the level's themes aren't stale. When you enter a world, there's only about 4 levels in that world, and those levels are based around the theme of the world. You are moving between level themes at a rate that allows you to appreciate them and not get sick of them. And even if there is a level theme that you don't particularly like, that's okay, because you're only going to be there for a few levels before you move on to a new themed world. However, even though all these levels look amazing, there is one thing about the game that I definitely noticed, and that is frame rate drops. I'm playing the game at 60 FPS on my PS4 Pro, but the frames definitely dip quite a bit and it's definitely noticeable, at least on my console. Now, I don't know how this game will look on base consoles in terms of frame rate, but certain areas might chug on current hardware. I am looking forward to the next gen consoles, however, as we have seen tests showing that next gen hardware helps these previous generation titles run better. Until then, however, Toys for Bob has created an option to help with the frame rate drops by adding a bit of motion blur. Now don't worry, it's not as heavy laid as Spiral Reignited's was, but if it still bothers you, do not worry, Toys for Bob has added an option to turn it off completely. But not only have they added the option to turn off the motion blur, but you can also turn off the circle that appears underneath Crash as he's in the air. Some people love it, some people hate it. So now you can choose whether or not to have it. But you can also turn the camera shake on or off, along with an extensive colorblind mode that allows you to choose what kind of color blindness you have and the intensity of the filter that would be applied, which is an accessibility option that I love to see in games nowadays. Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time is a fantastic game. Its story is fun and full of laughs. Its gameplay is familiar yet unique and stands out on its own from other games, including the new playable characters. Its level design is equally brilliant and challenging with lots to do and collect. And the graphics are just knock out of the park gorgeous with lovely accessibility options. My only nitpicky negatives is that I wish I could have seen more from the other masks in terms of personalities and story, and that the frame rates do dip quite a bit at times, which I hope will be fixed in the next generation of consoles. All in all, I think it's safe to say that personally, for me at least, and in my opinion, this is the apex Crash Bandicoot experience. It hits every note that just about every fan wants in a Crash Bandicoot game and goes above and beyond even that. Toys for Bob has, in my opinion, single-handedly reclaimed the glory that the Bandicoot once had in previous generations, and has created a game that I think will stand the test of time, right beside Crash 1, 2, and 3. Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time is now my personal favorite Crash game of all time, and I cannot wait to play it more and more throughout the years, and I cannot wait to see what Toys for Bob and Activision has in the future for us. Thank you so much to all those who not only support the channel, but myself and my family. Because of your contributions, I'm able to do this full time. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider clicking the join button or becoming a Patreon with the link in the description. I also live stream every Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on by and say hi. Again, thank you to everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video and or live stream.